I had like cool boppy music going on, but I had not unmuted it, so you guys couldn't hear that while you were waiting. Hey, my name's Tony Vicinda. You can find me at Tony Vicinda across any social media platform. Plus One is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. I usually take Sundays off from ZINEQuesting, but seeing as it is the last day of February and the last day that projects could launch, I wanted to hop on and just see what was new, what was cool, what people were excited about. Let's refresh this so we can see what's actually the newest ZINEQuest. That can't be right. Is it? I thought font was already live. This looks, it says it's sorted by newest. All right, here on ZINEQuesting, I talk about different Kickstarter projects that are live right now, ones that we love. I even back a few of them. This cannot be the most recent. I don't believe it. We're gonna go back out. We're gonna look at this again. This seems like last week. Kickstarter. We're there. All right, ZINEQuest. But I'm going to talk about what I love about some of the projects. There will be things I'm looking for is flavor at the very top. You know, tell me about what the feeling of your project is. Do you have a clear value proposition? There's some other unique things that different projects will bring, and I'm going to talk about those different things. There we go. That looks more like it. There's some cool new projects that just dropped in the last 24 hours, and I know a lot of us are dealing with ZINEQuest. It's actually been a hard last 48 hours, I think, for some of the Kickstarter community. We're not going to talk about that. We do have a retrospective coming up with some of the staff from Kickstarter itself. I'm very excited about that conversation, about being able to have you all join us live on the 18th for that. We've got some just really cool stuff coming up. But I also do want to know, as we're kind of winding down on this ZINEQuesting series, as we're getting to the end of the month, I'll do a couple next week just to kind of catch some of these other newer projects that are kind of dropping at the last minute. But I'd love to know, as we're ending this, what are some of the things you'd like to see here? I'll probably do 2 live streams a week going forward, along with our actual play ones. I'm trying to make one of them an interview. Some of them will be kind of like ZINEQuesting, where I go through what's live on Kickstarter and back them. If you're interested in any of that, or if you have ideas about what we could uniquely here at Plus One offer to the tabletop community, I'd love to hear it. It doesn't have to just be Kickstarter stuff. I don't want it to just be Kickstarter stuff. But what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy about these live streams? Let me know in the chat wherever you're watching. I'd love to hear that. But you didn't come here to just tell me what I should be doing. You came here to hear about some cool projects. And there are some cool projects, like I said, that just dropped. These are the most recent ones that are live on Kickstarter right now. A lot of them are doing really well. A lot of these are going to be first-time creators who were really trying to get their projects in underneath the deadline. And so let's look at a couple of them. A lot of these came as recommendations, but I do have a few I selected also too. This first one was one that came from the RPG Zines group as a recommendation. It's Yeepaw High Raccoon. And if you know me, you know I'm a fan of wordplay. You know I'm already a little sold. I do like this opening image. I like that they've gone, rather than just with like full anthropomorphized concepts, that these animals still look a lot like the type of animal that they are. I'm really interested in kind of the art stylings of some of this. It's a Western RPG supplement. I don't know. Let's find out. There's trouble headed towards the critter town of Bright Springs. The vile varmint, Rowdy Rocky, was spotted on the road north, headed this way. The no-good raccoon's got a large posse in tow with many ne'er-do-wells, well outfitted with irons under his orders. Nothing good can come of it. Like I said, this art's very cool. It is an independent tabletop role-playing game for 1 to 6 critters of Bright Spring. You and your friends need to band together, recruit town folk to help set traps, and ultimately defend yourselves from the Rocky and his ilk. You ain't a gunslinger, but you're willing and able to fight. I love this. So we've got some classic spaghetti Western town beyond hope feels going in here. Hey, Sagan, good to see you. I'm very into it. We're going to use a poker mechanic, which feels very thematically on point. Draw 5 cards to form a river. Base cards represent forces that are opposing you. Draw a blind hand of cards equivalent to the threat it poses. Draw 2 cards for yourself. Flip all hands belonging to the opposition, y'all. Best hand wins, no ties. Wins result in gaining townsfolk, setting traps, acquiring items, or dealing with grit. So basically, you're prepping your town for an attack. This is a really cool sounding project. I hadn't heard about it in advance. I like the art on it. I'm gonna click remind me. It's going the full month. So I've got plenty of time to come back and look at this, but it's Yeepaw. I think it looks very, very good. I like this map right here. And I love this. I love this, the feel of this. And this is probably something I'll back, but since we've got some time, I'm going to come back and back it later. Maybe we'll talk about it again. Let's keep on rolling, though. Agents of Banff. This one came up the other day in the RPG Zines group. This person thought they would be the last person to launch a game. It is, I believe, digital only. Agents of Banff, the capes can't always be there. This is a very cool and evocative image. It tells me, like, there's some mystical things going on. There's some superhero things going on. They all have this kind of matching uniform feel. It's got a very comics piece to it. Agents of Banff is a tabletop role-playing game. It's an homage to the super spy agencies of comics, TV, and film. Shields, Uncle, BRPD, MI13, Project Cadmus, and Checkmate. If we're being 100% honest, there's a bit of a G.I. Joe vibe here. There's some cool art happening here. Since the Bureau of Abnormalities and Mutations and the Fantastic. There's something too weird, too spooky, or too otherworldly for the cops or the army you call Banff. There's some good, really good flavor here. Some of the touch points. There's a lot of lean art. This is leaning on made using Hack the RPG for ZineQuest 3 Rules Light. There's 3 new classes for Hack the RPG. It's POD, so print on demand, which means that their backer levels are going to be pretty affordable. So if we were going to do it, we'd come in at this PDF with the POD option later on. This is very cool. I like this. I'm going to hit remind me on this one also. It's got 4 days left to go. I might come back and back it. I think since it's going to be on Drive-Thru RPG, I might just grab it later. Ooh, you want me to talk about why Perfect RPG canceled? Cristano, I'll talk about Perfect RPG some if some people want me to. You're going to find that I'm a pretty mild individual. I'm upset about the way things went down. So I don't know that, like, yeah, I'll talk about it. If you guys have questions specifically about Perfect, toss them in the chat and I'll respond with my thoughts on them. But I don't want to just go on a rant about it. We can talk about it at the end some also too. Or if you're saying that should be another video, I can do that. But yeah, toss them in. Procrastination Day. The art on this one actually catches me really well. I'm a little surprised it's not already funded. It's got a $603 funding goal. I think this opening image may be problematic, and I say that as somebody who has a gross RPG up right now. But watching somebody poop as the first image on your page, maybe not the way to go. It's your caught in a time loop. We were big fans of Thursday earlier this day. I think time loop, speedrun, and RPGs that are messing with time are some of the most interesting and challenging things to be writing right now, and I've seen a couple of them this ZineQuest and some that are not on ZineQuest but are being released right now. So it's an idea that a lot of people are playing with at the moment. But this concept is this person has to repeat the day, and you're managing your motivation, your energy, and your needs. It's a solo one. You're kind of leveling up throughout the course of the day. There's a strong comic feel to it. I actually think the art is a big part of this, and kind of the frame by frame play is very cool. I think this is a really creative project. I'm not familiar with Bonanza Studio at all, but I think it's a cool project that people should check out. It's a temporal loop comics RPG game book. I'd love to see more comics RPG game books out there. I would just love to see this become a little bit more of a format. It's a little bit more normative. So if you're a comic book person out there, if you're thinking about how you can create some comic RPG crossover, I think is a really interesting idea. I haven't looked at this one at all. I just went through and picked some of the ones that just had opened in the last little bit. I'm going to drop this in right here. Watch the video.
Hi everyone, Ed here from Shades of Vengeance, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the Era Zone. The Era Zone is a labour of love for us. We believe in supporting every single one of our games. We also believe that we have to do more though, so we include setting neutral material and ideas that you can use for any game you're playing. From campaigns to new abilities and equipment for era games, to our setting neutral sci-fi bestiary. This zine is a cornucopia of material for all your role-playing needs. We aim for the Era Zone to produce 4 issues, but the funded goal will allow us to produce the first 2. The subscription will give you all of the issues we produce in a year, which will increase as the stretch goals.
That's cool. I have no idea what the era system is, so let's check this out. We're creating new materials for era games, bringing options to life for everybody. That's why we've run the Era Zone, our quarterly zine, as an entry for ZineQuest the last 2 years. It's very cool. I like that. I'm surprised I haven't heard of this. I wonder how big or small it is. 42 created. I want to know more about this company. Let's see. Here's some quick facts about the Era Zone. You can scroll down and find out more. Each one is a 28-page booklet with a full color cover. Each issue contains at least 1 page of content for every published Era game, much of which can be used in other settings of the same genre. So it's a system neutral one that they've got different genres you can play in. But I guess I haven't heard about this yet at all. Here's some of the different settings you can play in. Yeah. This is a complex piece. I feel like this is somebody bringing their audience to Kickstarter and saying, what is it? Arizona is inline to Era Engine. I'm sure it is. Give an abstract of facts. Sure, I'll give an abstract of facts in just a second about all the stuff with Perfect RPG. I'm not familiar with Era at all. This is one I'll need to spend a lot more time with, because if this is going to come out with monthly zine content, if I can be getting some of this content and it's different genre stuff and it's system neutral, I'm actually kind of into that. It's a well laid out page. They've got a good track record. How far has this been up? 29 backers, $700 about is their goal. It's got 21 days to go. We're going to go ahead and just hit remind me on this because it's got some legs on it. It's going to go into the middle, late March. I want to come back and look at this. I don't know anything about Era. If you're an Era fan, let me know. Yeah, Phil, I want to go back and look at their projects they've created, because they did it last year. It looks like they're putting out a lot of content. I'm not familiar with the system at all, and now I want to know more about it. So I'm going to go check out. I have follow from them also too. By the way, if you don't follow Phil Reed on Kickstarter, you should. It's the only way you can feel good about what you're backing and the fact that there's somebody out there backing more projects than you, because he probably is. This is Repugnance, our RPG winner the last 24 hours. If you have not backed it yet, I would highly encourage you to go to ttrpg.link /repugnant and check it out. If you back at any level, $1, whatever, we'd be really thankful. I'd love to bust up over 200 backers. We'd love to get to 275 backers. We've got a social stretch goal for that. We just did an update earlier today. We've got a lot of cool add-ons. If you didn't see it last week, one of our add-ons is that we added this, what we're calling the Chit Can dice bag. It comes with this patch of Bartholomew R. Repugnant. It's from our friends over at Black Rainbow. If you haven't checked out Black Rainbow, please do. You can click on this link to go there, blackrainbow.com. If you're an independent creator who has really great art for your games, you can work with Brady over at Black Rainbow to do like 100 bags with your art on them if it matches the aesthetic stuff that they do. I'd really encourage you guys to go look it out. It's our dice of choice here on the channel. We give their stuff away all the time. I'm a big fan of it. We are going to be doing the map. We've went ahead and commissioned Ryan Latino to go ahead and do the map. We know that in the backer kit, we're going to break through that $5,000 level, even if we don't go over it in the campaign. But if you are able to back at any level, I'd love to get over 200 backers. That'd be a real win for us. I'd love to get up to $5,000 during the campaign, but if we don't, it's been a phenomenal run. I'm really thankful to all of you watching, as well as our community of backers. There's some really cool stuff. Our system's going to be fully hackable. I'm very excited just about all the cool stuff that we've been able to do with this project and working with John on it. So if you're able to go back this game, I really appreciate it, because we'll have it out in a couple months. So the pledge manager will go up in a week or so, and it'll just be go, go, go from there. So, who needs dice bag artist? It's Black Rainbow will work with artists. I didn't actually want to talk about this one, but let's go ahead and do it since I've got it up. The Divorce of Druids. I did not want to talk about it. It just didn't catch my eye initially, and I didn't mean to add it to the list. But since we popped it up, let's go ahead and do it. Oh no, I did. You know what caught my eye about this one? It's an I cut, you choose, print and destroy craft RPG game. So originally, nothing about it really caught me. But the concept of this being a game you cut up and that you physically manipulate, that's what grabbed me about this, actually. Already funded. I like what they're doing with this video. This drawn-on effect with the art. It's very cool. The pacing on this, I'm a little bit curious about, especially for a 2-minute video. But I like seeing kind of some of these different prompts in action. About 15 more seconds. These color splashes as a work-in are a really good way to re-up engagement, and they're doing a lot of evocative communication. All right. We agreed you wait upon the hill. As agreed, you wait upon the hill. You intended to come alone, but a red fawn has taken to following you the past few days. It chews on the grass at your feet. As always, your beloved is never late, although you have been waiting since dawn. Their arrival is heralded by the call of a large black raven, and the wind seems to pause. Moments of calm descends, and they always had a flair for drama. They wear the traditional robes, freshly dyed in the deep blue of a plant that you do not yet know, and lean almost perfectly on an almost perfectly straight and uniform branch as a staff. There's a colorful spray of flowers that seems to be growing in their beard. Love that. Almost sold at this point. A bright green vine holds back their hair. They always had the ear of the plants. Let's see. A divorce of druids and the division of their domains. An I cut, you choose, print and destroy craft RPG subscription wet zine for exactly 2 players. It takes about an hour to play. A divorce of druids and the division of their domains is a game about the druidic dyad splitting up and dividing their domain. So you're 2 druids who are going through a divorce, literally. I cut, you choose, print and destroy, hybrid craft, RPG subscription, wet zine. Very cool. Ready for you to print at home. 4 PDF scenes, 1 for each season. A single season with a physical. I'm not going to go physical on this because it's in Australia, and I actually don't want to. But I absolutely want this digital. Thinking quarterly, I'm going to get that I'm going to be able to play a game with somebody over the next year once a quarter, that we're going to cut up pieces and decide what parts of our nature domains we keep or don't keep. That is just, that's cool. Like, I like this idea, and I think digital is the way to go on this type of project, so that I can have the replay value of that. It's a very cool idea. Yeah, check this out. The art on this is nice also too. So we're gonna get into that digital level. I'm gonna hit remind me, because sometimes I forget to come back and back these at the end. Like, I've got to go cook dinner right after this. A mention for our good buddy Phil Reed. He had tossed this out to me right beforehand. We are gonna back this one for sure. This is a very, very cool project Phil's put out. Phil is constantly doing really cool projects that I learn a lot from as a designer and as a professional. You get the PDF of this right here over at itch.io. Great way to show your work. The projects are usually very concise. Phil does a really good job of supporting it. This is a work that's to be used with Morkborg and is not a systemless supplement. If you're unfamiliar with Morkborg, please learn more But here's the cool thing about this. It's a different format. And Phil, I do want to know who you ended up going with as far as your printer on this. Because like, I know you ordered these from China. You had to kind of do a little bit more of a bulk order on these, but it's a double-sided accordion folded folio. Half are clean spells on one side, the other side is unclean spells. I think there's more clean spells than unclean spells. But it's just very cool. Like, it's a very cool concept. Here, let's watch this video. Here's this music. It's from Phil's last project. Power of Scoundrels. Now watch this. Bam. Open it up. Go the other direction. A concept I've been playing with a lot lately is, like, I want to do like folio style stuff. I also want to do stuff. So our next project is actually going to be, like, my next project is actually going to be a fantasy gourmet kitchen dungeon crawler. Just FYI, thematically, that's what we're going to be looking at next. It's going to be a hack of the Covered in Shit system, in part at least, but there'll be some other mini game stuff that we add on for sure for that. It's also going to be a little bit more PBTA feel to it, I think. And so I'm very excited about that. Let's see. But that said, I love this idea of like this folio piece, especially like from an ongoing storytelling game. Things like Fall of Winter, which has a scroll you unfold. The ability to kind of move narratively through a piece of work seems like a really cool idea. And I think this is not what Phil's doing, but it's the format that Phil has used for this sets up the idea that you could use this in that method, I think, really, really well. But it's a very cool spell book. He also has added in a couple of these PDFs that he's done recently as printables. Tower of Scoundrels will be available. This is actually way higher reward level. So typically Phil's stuff is like very inexpensive, sometimes digital only POD. Obviously Tower of Scoundrels, if you wanted the record, was high. He always does very solid low level stuff that makes it very accessible. So just $14 for the print edition. But if you missed some of his last few things, you should absolutely go back and check these out because there's some really good stuff here. Like I'm trying to remember, I think I've got Kalos coming already, but anyways, this is a project to not miss. It's not a ZineQuest project, though. I think it's as close as any number of ZineQuest projects doing to map it. So he just dropped in the chat on Facebook also to the printer that he's working with, and you can go, like I said, go check it out on itch right now. Am I following Phil? Bam. All right, this one was a big conversation yesterday in the Brain Trust community. It is a Goblin Manor of Ansarug Mog ZineQuest, a setting and adventure zine for whatever game you like about a decrepit manor house and a terrible goblin sisters within its walls. The art on this one is phenomenal. The concept of this one is phenomenal. Like, look at these adorable creatures. Like, look at this. A droopy manor house in a wilting countryside of the Frumbly housing, the hateful and decrepit Ansrug Mog sisters, once a site of many a lavish ball and breakfast, host to lairds and ladies, knights and knaves. Its winding, fretful corridors now sit empty except for spiteful hurryings and evil thoughts of uncourtable goblin sorority. The locals live in semi-reverent fear of aristocratic goblins in town. The town simmers with tales and rumors of the awful house. They'll steal your children. They're controlled by a terrible god. They never die. They just move deeper underground. They live out their entire lives within our dreams while we sleep. Surely these rumors cannot all be true. I just think it's adorable. Like, I love the languages. Like, I love words I can't pronounce in Germanic tongue. It's going to be overseas. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go digital or print on this one, in all honesty. But I just like this art just does so much for me. And I just think it's a fun setting. It's something I could easily drop into a Beards and Beyond campaign or something else like that, without much trouble at all. So we're probably going to go digital, but there's also a Rhizo option. They also, at some of the higher levels, offer like PDF, a unique postcard print of a goblin, a curse upon your house, at $50. A unique postcard, a one-off adventure run in Goblin Manor by them, and a blood oath. Like, just some funny, just like interesting things in those higher level campaigns. But this is the Goblin Manor. It looks very, very good. I like the project. I looked at this one earlier. It's very
hanging out with Leonard here today. Gonna be working on my zine, so I got tape, pen, and scissors, all the necessary bits. And I'm working on follow. Okay.
The almost ASMR quality of this video is very good.
And I've also got this marvelous box of just like cool stuff to glue in there.
All right, so let's check it out. That tone is kind of carried through the entire project too. It's very interesting. I'd love to see more art here. I mean, like I'm already wanting to see a little bit more about it. But it's been out for a couple of years, first released to patrons. It's prompts for a geographic recipe, of which several are included, of the psyche of an individual. This reminds me of some of Jared's work as far as some of the flavor and the tone of it, while looking very different and still sounding very distinct. There's this kind of cool process mechanic that you're going through it. The second one has a content warning on it. It's about safely navigating back from suicidal ideation. So dealing with some heavier topics in this, which I love. I got to play Blood Feud yesterday, which is about toxic masculinity. It was very, very good. And it's a game that just kind of set with you for the rest of the day. And I would love to to see more games that are dealing with that and helping process big conversations. Both of these zines are ultra fancy and exquisitely shabby in so much as they'll be revisiting the punk aesthetics of the early zinester days, which I love. I think Jackson's in the RPG Zines group. This is Follow. It just launched. I'm going to kind of check it out as it grows. It's doing really, really well. If you like the old school aesthetic, if you like the idea of navigating the geography of the psyche, you should check out Follow. The Barrier of Sound. I've seen this. A lot of people have liked this one. I haven't checked it out yet at all. It's got a lot of backers, but not a crazy high funding level, which means it's probably fairly affordable. Collecting seashells along the rocky shore, you stumble across a battered video game cartridge half buried in the sand, waterlogged, corroded. There's no chance it still works, right? Still, once it's dried, you blow in the bottom of the cartridge, stick it in your ghost of a console, and press the power button. The Barrier of the Sound is a one-player tabletop RPG about the beauty and strangeness of the coast. It's inspired by storm-tossed barrier islands of Pamlico Sound, the rugged evergreen coast of the Pacific Northwest, and the crumbling sandy cliffs of Southern California. The game itself is 5.5 by 6.5 inch saddle-stitched book designed to resemble a video game cartridge. Inside, a step-by-step guide supports players' exploration of an imaginary coastline filled with perplexing ruins of the future. I love the way they've done this. They've done 1-bit sprites, which is like when I started playing video games, that's what they were. This feels very cool. Poster map. Not required to play. All gone. Oh man, there's already all gone stuff. So I can't get the print anymore. There are only 190 available. That's very cool. We'll hop in at digital because I'm into this and hope maybe that there's some more that become available later. The art on this one just caught me the other day. I was scrolling through Twitter. This one looks so good. What time is it? All right, we're cruising along. An RPG travel guide about a big hollow log in a forest, the bug folk who live there, annotated by Lyle, a very lost adventurer. We played a kind of similar game to this, Cuticorium, just a little while ago. It was a much bigger project. The art style is very different. I don't even know that they're mechanically similar, but a similar idea of bug cities, and I think that's really fun. But I mean, just like look at this image; it's very cool. Soak Hollow's City Guide, Traveler Zine for Bugs by Bugs. Welcome to Soak Hollow. The life of any respectable bug folk simply isn't complete without a visit to Soak Hollow, the grand dam of the five great insect cities of the Odonata Forest. Griffinley may have canopy views, while Pondside may have rustic charms, but one simply has not lived until you've seen the historic wood of the old Queen's Colony itself. Soak Hollow can be justified. It'll be intimidating to newcomers, but keep these pages close at hand while you're there, and you'll never be lost for where to stay, the final places to eat, and where to be seen in your flashiest silks in a night on the town. The book belongs to somebody. It's takes your adventure party to the magical city of bug folk. It's written to be system agnostic, so you can drop it in wherever you want. By bugs for bugs, so it's not written for your adventuring party. It's written for bugs. I love this opening image. I want to see more of these details, but look how gorgeous this is. I wish you could click in on this and get a little bit more of a view. This is great layout on these pages. Yeah, if you're a Cuticorium fan, since it's system agnostic, this would be also a thing. If you missed that actual play, it's earlier. Ulysses Duck did that. This is a very cool project. The art alone on this opening image is killing me. And so we're gonna do. We'll come back and do something with it. Virtuemancy, a zine-powered TTRPG of saving the world. Help us fund the physical release of this award-winning game. It's 3 days in. It's a little bit low. It's going to be kind of a push for them to get this one over the finish line. Hopefully they do. The world was once filled with magic and wonders. Then the calamity happened, and all that came to an end. Out of the ashes rose the great Garaxian Association of Magi, GAMI. They rebuilt Garaxia in their secretly tyrannical way and even brought back magic in a form they could control. This isn't all about them. This is a game about you and those who have come together to overthrow GAMI and free Garaxia. It's about spellcasting, not based on limitations, but on heartfelt truths affecting the world itself. It's not about anyone else you would choose to become. It's not about anyone else but who you would choose to become and what you want to make of the world. It's also a game where you'll make a zine to use as a character sheet. Interesting. It's an original system influenced by systems like Apocalypse World, Cortex Prime, Don't Rest Your Head, and classic dungeon crawlers. 1984, John Carpenter's They Live. Blood. Again, I'm never a fan of like putting this stuff up. They've made it their own, but just like put this at the bottom. Like I'm already on Kickstarter. Like and if I don't know what ZineQuest is, this doesn't do anything for me. And if I do, then it just doesn't do anything for me. Making the world your own, where the world is set. The world is set, but besides some basic plot details, everyone at the table takes turn creating places and people present in your setting as the game goes on. You keep fleshing it out and fill it in with the resistance to stand up and fight. But fleshing it out and creating your own version isn't enough. You need to sway the populace to your side, as different parts of it serve as to stage your decision, your sessions, your actions, and your investment in the area. Actions. This is very cool. So you're building a city, and you're building your influence in the city to take it back from tyrannical rulers. Every scene is an experience. No need to check spellbooks, memorize rituals, or having one of your parents meet the mystical being over speed dating. Instead, whatever your character experiences is something that changes how they view the world. The lesson they learned metaphorically inscribes itself on their heart, enabling them to summon improvised magical effects it's based on. Very cool. You will either be the blade, the eye, the memoir, or the dream. This is very cool. I like this. I want to know more about this. I want to know a little bit more about the system. I want to know about making my own character book. We are going to do this. 150 left. Did this just launch? Or is this just not? It's getting some digital traction. So I don't know that their value proposition here is clear enough. Because this game should be doing better, I think, than it is. See a little way at home. And sealed physical. Yeah, we're gonna go physical on this. I'll come back and back it in a second. And then the creator of this one reached out to me. So I have this thing where if content is created and it's listed as being queer content, like unless I have a conversation with the creator, because I want to make sure that I'm doing justice to their vision, because it's not like that is not my life experience. And so I'm happy to share it, and I do all the time, but I really wait for their invitation. I looked at this one the other day because the art was really attractive to me, but it is a system agnostic piece that is put out to kind of augment OSR and 5th edition style play. It's a survival guide. It's a queer system neutral fantasy bestiary you can hand to your players as loot, so you could give them to them. It's really kind of designed in the style of the Field Guide to Hot Springs Island, which I think is a really clever way, like giving people in-world artifacts that are like things that you actually hand your players and let them kind of look through, so that they can kind of reclaim some of that like player creativity over character ability. I think is really smart. I'd love to see more games doing this. I'd love to see more supplements that do this. So this plays really strongly across the OSR and 5th edition level. I think it's a really cool project. The art is gorgeous. I'll give you guys a little bit of the video, because it gives a little bit more flavor of what the visuals are like.
Hey, Bill. What's gonna happen to us?
Soon, the Skyders will return upon their nesting cloud, paralyze us with their thunderous teeth, then divvy our limbs amongst their thousands of kin, so that our fluids might satisfy their insatiable hunger until the next feeding rain.
Oh, that sounds dreadful.
It is indeed dreadful, Davis. I'm afraid only one thing can save us now. Hip, trendy advice.
But I'm neither hip nor in the now.
Then I pray you find solace in the touch of death.
Every year, thousands of no-name adventurers meet their unnecessary demise, be it cactus dogs, hay dragons, or a jobless tramp named Jennifer. Here's a tip. Don't be losers like those guys.
We suck so much.
All right, so like I said, I love that even in the video they're doing like an in-world sales pitch. I think it's super fun. So I did say I would talk about it. Let's talk about real quick about Perfect RPG, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. There's been a lot that's been said about it already. I'm not like, I'm a member of the RPG community. I'm essentially, somebody referred to me the other day as RPG Press. Oh, I'm gonna have to look for it outside of Kickstarter apparently. Perfect RPG. Luke. Oh, let's see if I can go to Luke's Twitter. So this is a project, if you're not familiar with it, that launched, was it yesterday? It seems like so long ago, by Luke Crane. Originally, this looked very cool. I think to a lot of people, it looked like a really phenomenal list of contributors. There was a contributor listed on it who was problematic. The way that individual was listed made it seem as if it was hidden. I also will say this, like, there's some question about when you are the VP of a company, or a VP at a company, which Luke is at Kickstarter, how you go about presenting projects you have. And as somebody in a strong position of authority, even if it's a joke to call your RPG the perfect RPG, and it was a Mad Libsy concept. It was actually a very cool idea to give to a bunch of creators, let them kind of build their own RPG using this kind of Mad Lib style system, and then inviting you to do the same. As somebody who receives the zine is actually kind of a cool idea. If people have thoughts about this, please toss it in the chat. I'm not going to put anybody on blast. People can be as upset or as not upset as they want to be about this project. But Adam Cobell, who a lot of people find problematic for reasons that I think are very real and very reasonable. Even if I like past content that Adam has made, I think there have been some choices, and I think there's a track record there that speaks for itself. And his name was attached to this project, and it seemed to be kind of slid in. I think there's an issue with that. I think the other contributors didn't know. I think there's an issue with that. I think there's a lot of those different pieces. But I really actually do think that if somebody is a person of influence at Kickstarter when they are running a game, that should be clarified and noted somewhere within the project, and that we shouldn't assume that people in the community know that's who you are. There was a Project You Love tag on it, which is fine. It was... Other than the incredibly, I think, problematic issues, it was a good concept. But was it good enough to warrant a Project We Love tag if Luke wasn't there? I don't know. And there's no way to clarify any of this stuff. And here's what I do know. The people who work in the games department at Kickstarter work incredibly hard. And ZineQuest is a month where they all of a sudden have hundreds of extra games that come in. And that it is a thankless job. Actually, on the 18th, we have Anya coming on from Kickstarter, along with Ben from Panda Theist and Joe DeSimone, to talk with me to do a ZineQuest Theory retrospective and talk about the future. My assumption is we're not going to talk about Perfect RPG, and if that's going to be upsetting for people, that's fine. It is actually a place where we're going to be able to ask you guys will be able to submit questions. We'll answer them openly. We'll discuss them. But I actually don't think it's Anya's job to be put on the spot to defend any choices that were made in an organization, why this RPG existed, any of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think it's fair, and it's not something I'm going to be willing to do unless she brings it up. And if she does, then that's fine. We'll have a conversation about it. But that's the realm for this, which it's going to. But I will talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it. If you have specific questions or if you have thoughts on it, drop them. For me, the biggest frustration is, as a creator who was going into their last 48 hours when this released, this conversation overshadowed any sort of promotion that I could have been doing about my game. This conversation made people all of a sudden distrust the Kickstarter platform and have a negative response to it, which injured my ability to fund well. Which, I mean, we're doing fine. Like I said, this is all subjective, right? None of that may be true. We may have not lost any money to this, but it feels that way. So let me say that. And to have somebody who's established in the system participating is fun. To have a project slipped in the last little bit from somebody who's in the community, that's a project we love, that's going to take up bandwidth from other potentially smaller projects, especially since the projects that are launching right now at the end of the month are oftentimes smaller projects that people really struggle to get up there. That is all very frustrating to me. And I don't think if any one person is to blame for that, it's Luke. I don't know Luke. I'm not friends with Luke. I'm not connected to him at all. I don't know what he was thinking or if any of these things were considered. I don't think that I rarely assume that people intend malice unless they prove themselves to have done that over and over again. And I think there are people in this situation that have proven that. I don't know Luke's track record well enough to know one or the other. So those are all facts I'm happy to state publicly, which is essentially that I don't know, but it was very upsetting for me. And I think it's fine to be upset by it. I think it's fine to not be upset by it. I think it is fine to not know how you feel about it. I think it's fine to send messages, to write letters, to send emails. I think it's fine to speak out on social media. I think there are people who should be doing that. I think if you don't have the emotional bandwidth for that, or you don't understand some of the implications that are going into this, that's okay also. We are a diverse community of creators, and none of us come from the same worldview. But I think whenever there are issues and considerations around how power structures are being created and potentially abused, that better clarity needs to come into place to resolve those things. So whereas I refuse to put anybody from Kickstarter on the spot as having to be responsible to this, because they don't owe me that, I do think it would be in Kickstarter's best interest to clarify these things, to set up better policies about it. And I do think the final backer update that came out was a total non-apology for something that was an issue. And I can understand how if you were just setting out to make a fun thing that you just thought was fun, and then all of a sudden it became a very problematic thing that you didn't foresee, that's fine. I think we all have to operate in a place of self-awareness. Like, I know that my game launched on a week that 3 states in which I have major connections were essentially shut down: California, Oregon, and Texas, all places where I have a lot of backers from my last game, a lot of family members, a lot of friends who probably would have backed but are dealing with other things. I am aware that the theme for Repugnant is hard for a lot of people, that it's not for everybody. If John and I had picked a generic theme or a different theme that was more universally palatable, we would have funded better. That's all fine. Those are all choices we make. And I'm aware of how all those choices impact what I do. I feel like Perfect RPG was tone deaf in a lot of ways. And I don't think when you're in a really well-established position in the industry, even doing tongue-in-cheek, my work is perfect stuff, I don't think it's a good look. And again, I want to reinforce, I don't know Luke. I don't. And I therefore don't have a lot of specific judgment over Luke as a person. I didn't like this project because of a lot of those things. Before it became a bigger conversation about what is problematic. I didn't like the tone of it. I didn't like the feeling of it. I didn't like the proposition of it. And I do understand that it was absolutely intended to be kind of a joke about it being the perfect RPG the way that it was written. I think there are just a ton of small indie creators who are really struggling to figure out what that means. And I also think at the end of the day, this project will have damaged Kickstarter's reputation in the TTRPG field. I know that there are people who don't want to use the platform now. I know that there are people who don't want to support the platform now. I know that people who are actively seeking other platforms and don't know how they're going to operate in crowdfunding in the future because they refuse to use it. This project had significant impact, and I feel like there was not a lot of self-awareness around it. And I guess my thought would be, like, Luke, if you ever see this, which I don't know that you will, I wish you would have considered those things. And I wish you would have, regardless of whether you were looking to help a friend, support someone else, any of those things, if everything was the best intention possible, then self-awareness would have prevented a lot of the harm that came here. And as somebody who has worked with people who are abusers, both a lot minors who have abused other minors, as well as adults I'm somebody who believes in reconciliation, who believes in the ability to come back, who believes in the ability to move on. One of my strong lines on there is, you never expose people to somebody who has potentially created an abusive situation for them without their consent or awareness very, very, very clearly. And that's a lot of people's feelings about Adam. And I don't know Adam either. So I can't speak to any of that other than those are a lot of my thoughts or feelings. So, Cristiano, I hope that helps. I don't know if it did. And I hope I don't get in trouble for saying any of that. Like, I think my other big challenge would be, like, to the Kickstarter staff as a whole. Like, I am incredibly thankful for the work that Anya and John do, how intense this month is for them, how thankless the tasks are, and how this potentially maybe have created problems for them, which I hope is not the case. And I don't hold either of them accountable, but as an organization, I do think that Kickstarter needs to better consider how employee projects are presented and have some better guidelines around some of that. And I hope that's fair. Like, I mean, I don't think that's a huge ask. Like, to say like, let's have some better clarity around that. So I don't think this was clear. Like, I don't like, I mean, I get it. I don't think it was clear. Also, there are a lot of people who are very upset by like, you've got a lot of designers on here and their compensation is not very good because it's 150 split 26 ways. But I also know a lot of people on this were just doing it for fun. And then it became something that was very, very, very not fun. And so that's hard and that's challenging. I don't know. If you have thoughts about that, let me know. Like I said, that's probably the mildest hot take you'll get. Like, it's not even like a buffalo sauce. Like, that's like, you know, tangy Asian at Buffalo Wild Wings of a hot take, I feel like. But we'll see what comes of it. And I guess my hope is change, something better. I like Kickstarter as a platform overall, and I hope that we don't see more stuff like this. If it had been a bad actor outside of staff, it would have already been a problem. To have that potential bad actor be a staff member, an influential staff member, makes things worse. And there's some other things even outside of that do also too. But that said, I have nothing but love for the Kickstarter staff. For the Kickstarter games staff specifically. And I am excited to sit down and talk to Anya and Ben and Joe about all the great things that happened this Kickstarter season. And I hope all the great things that happen, all this ZineQuest season, and the great things that happen on ZineQuest in the future. Somebody say something in the chat, because, man, you don't owe me a response, but I just laid a lot of stuff out. Now I feel super exposed. So a little affirmation wouldn't hurt. If anybody out there has any for me. If you don't, that's okay. If you think I need to rage more or chill out more, that's fine also. Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard thing. And like I said, for me, overwhelmingly, my thoughts immediately just go to like the creators whose projects maybe in the last 24 hours, maybe in the last 48 hours got overshadowed by this conversation. And already a tough couple of weeks to launch. Phil, thanks. I appreciate you still processing what happened. I think I am also. And Phil, whatever you have, I would love to know your thoughts, even just in a private message. They don't need to be public anywhere. I would really respect whatever you come out to on that. I'm about to cry. I am emotionally exhausted. And I'll tell you, I played Blood Feud yesterday. That was a big part of it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people. Like, so Phil said he didn't, I am saying this here in the sense that it's just typed in public. Phil says he's not part of the streaming community, so he didn't recognize the name, and then everything happened so fast he didn't get the picture until this morning. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people. And I think like, I mean, I kept on like going down so that people wouldn't see like Phil as a backer. I don't think that people knew. I think of the 526 backers, that like none of them looked at Adam's name probably and thought, whatever, like if they knew who he was, you know? I don't think any of them are like, I don't care about people. I don't think that was in anyone's heart who backed this project. I mean, like, it's somebody who's made good games, who, and like Luke has made good games in the past, has a solid reputation, has been a strong member of the community. In case you don't know who Luke Crane is the reason ZineQuest started at Kickstarter. Like, it's the reason this happens. And so, like, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you about ZineQuest if it wasn't because Luke had started that. Now, you know, what went into that? What are any of the motivations? Who knows? Like, because again, I don't know. Yeah, none of these 526 people, I mean, they're all individuals, so like whoever they are, but I think the vast majority of them probably were just like cool looking project. And I would have, if I just seen like Luke Crane, cool list of contributors, no problematic individuals, even if I think the value proposition on the Mad Libby thing could have been clearer, I would have backed it. I would have backed this project 100%. Even knowing like that there may be some issues of like nepotism involved there. And there may not have been, like, clarity, like there may not have been. But like even knowing like there's a staff member for Kickstarter who was putting it out, I would have liked more clarity on that, but I would have backed this project had there not been that singular issue that I would have been very, very well aware of. Yeah, I think that's my feeling, Phil. Like I would have willing to give the project a shot despite the oddness of the page. I trusted the experience behind the project, though I didn't know it was being made. It felt like a performance art piece, and that's what I wanted to see. And that's like, I think this is cool, and I think this is the kind of stuff we've talked about a lot. And I would love to see somebody else come back and make a better stab at this, and maybe also not call it perfect RPG, because I understand that's tongue in cheek, but especially if you're an established creator, that's like it is. That is. It's yeah, just don't do it. And I understand the concept being like you can make it the way you want to, like, and that's part of the perfection concept. But anyways, that's about it. Somebody said rough timing, cruddy static, lots of foundational issues to the product. Imperfect RPG. Phil, let's partner. Let's make imperfect RPG together. Or with the entire community, let's make the imperfect RPG. That's all we're doing right now, all of us. Again, if you haven't backed Repugnant yet, go ahead and do that. Yeah, that would be cool, Trevin. If you haven't yet, go back Repugnant. We've got 17 hours left. Any level. I'd love to, at this point, I'd love to break 200. I'd love to get up to that 5K goal. We did put out to our backers this morning that if they have the encrusted edition, which is our premium, but not ultra premium version, we're going to go ahead and include the 5K stretch goal in that, because we do know in the backer kit with all the add-ons that we have that we're going to probably hit that 5K amount. And we already wanted the digital version of that from Kyle Latino, who did the Old Roads project. So go consider that. Also, if we get to 275 backers, which is still possible, who knows what's going to happen in the next 17 hours, even just at $1, if you post out a picture using the hashtag repugnant mug, we will turn you into a piece of character art. If we get to that level, we're going to do that for about 20 people. We'll pick 20 repugnant mugs that we love. Cool stuff. This from Black Rainbow, which, Phil, you should talk to these folks about some of your projects in the future. I know you use a lot of stock art, but I would love to see you do something cool with these folks. You get it delivered in a pizza box. You do a lot of cool stuff. We've got some other elements that are going onto it also too. By the way, and I know I just mentioned this. I know I mentioned it's why I was a little weepy. I played Blood Feud yesterday. If you haven't checked out Blood Feud, it is phenomenal and something good to sit with, no matter who you are out there. How do I feel about the final day of ZineQuest launches? I feel good. I feel like these are, like, looking at it, you know, here, let's go back. Kickstarter, ZineQuest. I thought I already had it up. We just reviewed a bunch of them. Like, I'm excited about this project. This one is interesting to me. I don't know that what I'll back it at, if I'll back it. This one seems very cool, and I'd like to see it doing better. But I also noticed, like, it seems like a lot of more first-time creators in this last day, in these last couple days. Like, a lot of the experienced creators came in right at the beginning. I think for a lot of these last ones, these are first-time creators. I kind of jokingly have been talking about, like, everybody's like, well, you know, there's, like, basically the first half of ZineQuest is the first 2 weeks, the second half is the last 2 weeks. Really, there's 3 parts to ZineQuest. There's the first 2 weeks, the second 2 weeks, and then the first 2 weeks of March really are part of ZineQuest also, as those projects launch. So don't forget that these projects are out there. If you're somebody who cares about those small first-time creators, especially, a lot of these last-minute projects are them. We came in the last week of ZineQuest, so we went a week in February, a week in March last year. And so it's where a lot of cool projects will come in. They're a lot more art light for the most part. There are a lot smaller projects. This Last Will and Testament of Gideon Blythe by Gian is just absolutely gorgeous, and I'm bummed that I drug my feet in it. I don't know what this one is. This looks cool. But I'll be doing a couple more. I'll be doing, I think I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, and I may do one the week after that for just some of the last minute projects. Phil, if you click on the dice bag for the, so Phil said a little bit of advice. We probably should do a little bit more. I probably should do, and we'll probably do an update shout out to Black Rainbow specifically as we're going. But if you go down here, this link on the dice bag should go to Black Rainbow. Yeah. So it does. We do have a link to their stuff on the page, but just check out this. Dang it. I got a bunch of their stuff right here. Cristiano says he's willing to back Imperfect RPG if Phil and I are in on that. Ben says the big thing that upset him was that if it's awarding yourself as a staff member of a project we love. I want to get my personal feelings. First time creators equals awesome. I hope they all succeed and produce full zines. I do too. Like, again, it's like ZineQuest is something that I love. And like what I really hope these couple of days, and blackrainbow.com, by the way, is BLKRNBW.com. I really hope that I think one of two things would be good. I think it'd be really good for Kickstarter to say, you know what, ZineQuest is a thing we do every February, but we just think it should be a thing every February. If you want to do it on itch, if you want to do it on another platform, go nuts and just kind of set it free. And they can't really stop anyone from doing that, I don't think. But I think either freeing it up or just like doing the work of clarifying things, setting up some better processes, doing things. Phil, I mentioned it the other day. I don't know that you were watching that day. I love that Steve Jackson Games got in on ZineQuest this year. Like, I love that was a thing. I love seeing, and that was at first why I was excited about somebody like Luke participating. Like, somebody who is the VP company doing it is exciting. And it is cool seeing people who are going to bring attention to that because it's going to benefit the entire community. And so I like if Wizards of the Coast decided we're going to do a ZineQuest project or two, like, great. I do think next year I would love to see more people collabing. I'd love to see like, hey, we're both creating two similar-ish projects, or we're both creating the same system. Let's do it together, double the goal. I'd love to see more projects or less projects with larger goals overall, I think, for me. But I also still want to see it to be something that's accessible to first-time creators. I also want to see like well-established creators just doing different things than what they normally do. I love, Lloyd Metcalf was talking about not doing a maximum HP zine next time, but just doing something that was more core to old school zine culture. And just hand assembled something fun that Lloyd doesn't get to do. I think ZineQuest should kind of default to that, and I think more people should just consider, if I've got a zine project I want to release, do I need to release it during ZineQuest? Because the answer is probably not. You're probably going to fund just as well any other time of year. I know that the energy of ZineQuest makes it feel like a lot, but you also have all the competition of all those projects. So anyways, I've been on for right about an hour. We've got 20 seconds left. And thanks everybody for talking today. Thanks for that question. Thanks for everybody for processing emotions with me. We're going to be ZineQuesting next week. Also on Friday, I will say this, I do have a special play interview set up with Tyler from Possible Worlds. He's going to be launching a new subscription anthology of zines. Tyler's done a phenomenal job of just launching as an independent creator, a really strong professional presence. I backed his zine last year, the SRD for Feather, Beak, and Bone, which is a world-building game, just dropped. You can actually go jam on that right now over on itch. We're going to be doing that on Friday. We've got a couple cool actual plays coming up. We're going to be cutting way back on content, 2 live streams a week, a couple of actual play live streams a week, and then about 2 polished pieces a week. So there'll still be something almost every single day, but not multiple pieces a day. And not multiple streams within one day. So we'll be pulling back a whole lot. But if there are questions you guys have, if there's conversations you want to have, you can find me at Tony Vicinda online. You can find us at +1EXP. If you want to support the work that we do, go to +1EXP.com, grow a beard, buy some beard balm. We'll have some lotion and other stuff. Or buy our first game, Beards and Beyond. It's a great beard simulation game if you don't actually have one. We've got some new content coming out later on this year for that also too, and some other games coming up, as well as all the stuff we're going to be doing for Repugnant and for Beards over the course of the next little bit. Can't wait to make more great games with all of you and to continue to create content that helps great games find players who love them and help players find great games that they can love. So until next time, guys, my name's Tony Vicinda and I'm ZineQuesting.